Got it on right now. This thing be tripping sometimes. Um, do a volume check real quick. Oh, that's the one. Do a testing 1 2 real quick.
1 2 1 2. Hello.
Oh, you go. Okay, me too. All right, we can get this going now. Oh, hell no. See what Cap be meaning. All right, let's see. You got that scripture? 147 and 19. Huh? I don't know. All right. Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Barakathum to the brothers. Yahweh Shamar Lathum Bashem Yahushai to the sisters. We'll be doing Tuesday Brotherhood class. And today's topic, we're going to continue with the topic of the 12 chart, the 12 tribe chart. And what we're going to do, what we're going to get into, last class we did Judah. We got into the progenitor of Judah. You know what I mean? The man himself. And we got into the tribe of Judah, and then we got into the prophecies of the nation of Judah. So I'm going to try to get as much as I can as far as Israel. Like Israel is a lot, you know what I mean? But we're just going to break it down, and we're going to try to get as much as we can as far as getting into Israel. Okay. All right. So let me get that scripture real quick that I asked for. Psalms 147 and 19.
Psalms 147:19. He saw his word unto Jacob, his status in his
Statutes.
judgment unto Israel.
Okay. All right. So he showed his word unto. Can you go ahead and read that one more time?
He saw his word unto Jacob, his status,
Statutes.
his status,
Statutes.
statue.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Excuse me. Statues in his judgment unto Israel.
Okay. So you know what I mean. This is the scriptures are saying that this is what the Lord is giving. The Lord gave His laws and His statutes to Israel. Okay. Now who is Israel? Okay. So He says unto Jacob. Jacob is the father of the 12 tribes. You know what I mean? He's the father of the 12 tribes. His name was changed into Israel. That's why you get 12 the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay. So Israel is Jacob. Okay, he's the father of the 12 tribes. Now, in the 12 tribes, who do we have? We did Judah last week. Okay, so we got Benjamin, Ephraim, Manasseh, Simeon, Zebulun, Gad, okay, Reuben, Asher, Issachar, and then Salakia. For Ephraim and Manasseh, those are Joseph's sons. Okay, so you got Dan. Dan is part of, you know what I mean, Jacob's sons, but his nation was pretty much, you know what I mean, wiped out. Okay, yeah. So then you had Joseph. His nation was split in two by his two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay, we'll get into that later. You know what I mean, that all goes into, you know what I mean, the lesson that we're going to do today. But you know what I mean, Joseph, his blessing goes on to his son Manasseh and his son Ephraim. Okay, so we'll get into that later. But let's see. Let's get it. Let's get it. So we got Judah. That is the so-called African Americans or Black Americans. You got Benjamin, which is the West Indians. I mean, you have Levi, the Haitians, Ephraim, Puerto Ricans, Manasseh, Cubans, and you have Simeon, Dominicans, Zebulon, I mean, Guatemala to Panama, and Gad, Native Americans. We were just, getting into that as far as, going through all these wicked holidays, them celebrating pretty much murdering and damn near, wiping out our people. That's what we were just getting into that with the Gad lessons and everything like that. So you got Reuben, the Seminole Indians, Asher, Columbia, and then you have Issachar, the Mexicans or Aztecs. Okay, so these all are. This is our 12 tribe chart. It's as accurate as it can be. Like so. When you think of your nation, you need to look at that chart. You'll find. You said, brother. You said you were West Indian. What was his father though? Your father's father. What was he? Oh, you never met him. So okay. Well, we probably won't. What's going on, Shalom? We probably won't get a straightforward answer with that one. And like, I'm pretty sure you can find out though. You got family out there. You know what I mean? You can find out, but if it's if it's Cuban, then you probably be from the tribe of Manasseh. If it's Native American, then you're probably from the tribe of Gad. And if if you're West Indian, then you'll be, from the tribe of Benjamin. You are what your father is. It's not. It's not. It's not really like a mixture thing. You're not. Yeah. Can you talk on the mic too?
Say for instance, he's black, Native American, and in Cuban, he have that flowing in his bloodline. More black Judah than anything, but he telling me that he got Native American and Cuban in his bloodline.
Well, what was his father?
That's
what I'm saying. Yeah, like
it's like
it's
12 years ago. I didn't even know that.
If you want a straightforward answer, you probably have to dig a little bit deeper, just because
his brother or something like that.
Yeah. See, kind of, if that's the case, if his brother's alive, then you'll be able to get that answer. You know what I mean? Because he'll be able to tell you, like, okay, well, we come from whoop de whoop whoop, and it's somebody that'll be able to tell you. If not, then just know, like, in your spirit, you already know. If you are from the 12 tribes or not, because trust me, if you weren't, then you wouldn't be in here right now. And that's a fact. Right. So, okay, so let's get into it. We're gonna get into the 12 tribes. But we're gonna get into Israel. Okay, so if like, the kingdom split. You had the southern kingdom, you had the northern kingdom. So we're gonna try to focus on the northern kingdom today, but I want to go through Benjamin. We just gonna try to get as much as we can in it. We won't even separate it. I wanted to get into the 10 tribes, but we'll try to just get. It's the 10 is the northern kingdom, right? You know what I mean? And then you have Judah, Benjamin, and some Levi on the southern kingdom. Okay, so we'll get into it. I didn't really bring a lot as far as the nation of because we did that last week. Well, not last week, but we did that last class on the 12 tribes when we talked about Judah. Okay, and you get into the southern kingdom. Okay, so but right now we'll finish off with the southern kingdom by talking about Benjamin. So we'll start with Benjamin. So like if I'm talking fast, because so like we had to start a little bit late today, but I just want to get through as much scriptures as possible. So let's talk about Benjamin right now. Okay, so what I want you to do is give me matter of fact, okay, so we got into Jacob. Jacob changing the name. Jacob's name was changed into Israel. So he's the father of the 12 tribes. So if we get into the mothers, if you want to, put this in your notes and stuff like that, like who are the mothers of who? I can go through them again. Leah, she was the mother of Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulon, right? Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin. Blah, she was Dan and Naphtali's mother, and Zelpah, she was Gad and Asher's mother. Okay, so those are the mothers of the 12 tribes, and let's keep it going. So like I'm over here rushing to it. Let me slow down a little bit. All right. Oh, did I get it in? I forgot. I got into Naphtali, right? When I was naming the 12 tribes, I forgot Naphtali. Huh? Okay, Naphtali is Argentina and Chile. Okay, yeah, Salakia about that too. Salakia. All right, so let's get into Benjamin. All right, so when you want to get into Benjamin, let's start off at Genesis 35 and 15. This is the birth of Benjamin. Benjamin being the youngest of the 12 tribes, right? Let me know when you got it. You know what scripture to go to? Genesis 35. Let me know if you ain't got it. I'll give it to you. So Benjamin being the youngest, Benjamin 35 and 15. Shalom, Israel. What's going on? How y'all doing, man? Go ahead. You got it?
Con.
All right, go ahead.
And Jacob called the name of the place where God spake with him. I want to say Beetle. What's that word there? What's that word there?
So I get what? What was that?
That last word. Start with a B.
Bethel.
Bethel. Okay, Bethel. Yes, sir. And Jacob called the name of the place where God spake with him Bethel.
Keep going. Keep
And
going
they,
until you get to verse 18.
and they journeyed from Bethel, and there was but a little way to come to what's that word there?
Ephrath?
Ephraim?
Yeah.
Ephraim. And Rachel traveled, and she had what? She had
She
hard
travailed.
labor.
And Rachel travailed.
Travail? Oh yeah, Rachel travailed, and she had hard labor. And it came to pass when she was in hard labor that the midwife said unto her, "Fear not, thou shalt have this son also."
Okay, so if you know Rachel, I mean, she was barren for a while, right? Rachel was, hey, Shalom, Itazam, what's going on, brother? Um, Rachel, she was barren for a while because of the actions of Jacob. Jacob was treating Rachel better than he was treating Leah, right? And so, because of his actions, the Lord made Rachel barren and he opened up the womb of Leah. So, in order for him to conceive and have his children, he would have to lay with the wife that he didn't choose, or he low key kind of despised. You know what I mean? Because he didn't choose Leah. He wanted Rachel. He was in love with Rachel, but he laid with Leah, so he had to stay with her. You know what I mean? So it's like Leah, but he had to stay with her, and you know what I mean, he had to do his job as a husband. But Jacob was lacking at that because he was treating her in a way where, you know what I mean, she was hurt at the fact that she wasn't favored from him. You know what I mean, by her husband. So you know what I mean, the Lord opened up her womb, and that's why you see her. She had so many of his children. You know what I mean? She had so many of his children. So Jacob had no choice but to go in her bed. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? If he wanted his legacy to continue, he had no choice but to go into her bed. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean, the Lord balances it out for you. You know what I mean? His law is his law. You know what I mean? His law is that, you know what I mean, you don't love one and hate the other. You know what I'm saying? You treat your wives the same. You know what I mean? As much as you can. You know what I mean? And it's not like it's going to be completely even, but you treat them. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. It's got to be fair. So Jacob wasn't doing that because he was so focused on what he wanted, which is just Rachel. You know what I mean? So yeah, so Rachel had Joseph, and this is her having Benjamin. Now, in the time of her having Benjamin, she was having complications during her pregnancy. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. You know where you left off at?
We got Genesis 18.
Right. Go ahead.
It came to pass, as her soul was in departing, for she died, that she called his name
Beoni.
Benoni, but his father called him Benjamin.
Okay. So Rachel, before she died, because she died giving birth to Benjamins, right? So before she died, she called him Ben-Oni, and Jacob changed his name. You know what I mean? He changed his name to Benjamin, right? So let's just get 19 real quick.
And Rachel died and was buried in the way to
Ephrath. Okay.
Ephrath.
We'll stop right there. Okay, so Rachel dies giving birth to Benjamin, right? So Benjamin's the last child. You know what I mean? He's the youngest. So you know what I mean? He didn't get to meet his mom. You know what I mean? She died giving birth to him. So Jacob changed his name to Benjamin. That's where we get Benjamin at. Rachel wanted it Ben-Oni, but Jacob made his name. You know what I mean? Which the father should name his child anyways. So
Jacob changed his name to
Benjamin. Benjamin.
Or Israel.
No, Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Jacob didn't want to change his own name. You know what I mean? The Lord changed his name. Yeah, so it wasn't. I'm not saying that he didn't want to change his name. I'm just saying that it wasn't his choice to change his name. The Lord changed his name. You know what I mean? Yes. Okay. So we got into the birth of Benjamin. Benjamin being, you know what I mean, the last born. You know what I mean, and Rachel dying, giving birth to him. Okay. So let's get into I mean, no, I mean, we'll get more into Benjamin as we keep going, but let's go into Joseph. Joseph, his older brother. You know what I mean? Rachel also had Joseph. So let's go to Genesis 37 and 2. I'm not gonna do too much with Joseph because Joseph is a class within itself. You know what I mean? Joseph is a complete class within itself. So I'm not gonna go too much into Joseph, but we're gonna get as much as we can as far as Joseph, which would be, you know what I mean, the progenitor of Ephraim and Manasseh, the Puerto Ricans and the Cubans, right? You got it. Let me know when you got the scripture so I can I mean, because I don't want to have too many blank spots.
Okay, yes, sir.
So you got it right now?
Genesis 37, verse 2.
Genesis 37, verse 2.
Come. These are the generation of Jacob. Joseph, being the 17-year-old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the son of Baal Baha. Is that
Bilhah.
correct? Bilhah. And with the son of
Zilpah. Zilpah.
Zilpah.
That's one of Jacob's wives. That's it.
Zilpah.
Yeah, that's one of Jacob's wives. That's the mother of Gad and Asher. That's one of his wives' handmaids. Yeah, you can go ahead, keep going.
His father's wives. And Joseph brought up to his father their evil report.
Hey, Shalom, Halak. Is that 15? Oh, Salaki. That's 2?
Yes, that's 2.
Yeah, keep going. We're gonna go all the way down to 8. Yeah, try to speak strong too from the gut, brother. You know what I mean? No, go to 37 and 3. You're on 37 and 3 now. Let me know when you got it. So we're on Genesis chapter 37 and verse 3. We're getting into, you know what I mean, we're getting into Joseph right now. You still need some time? You got it, or you still need some time?
It's coming up. Genesis 37:3, King James, verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old. because he was the son of his old age.
Okay, so Joseph was loved more out of all his children. I mean, when you go into families, like it's always that one child. Like if you got your kids, it's always just that one child. You love all your kids to death. You know what I mean? But it's that one child. You know what I mean? That you just like, yeah, that's me right there. You know what I mean? Like it's like one that you take favor to. You know what I mean? It's not like you don't love all your kids, but it's just that one that you just take favor to. So this is Israel's, you know what I mean, favorite child. Okay, go ahead, keep going. Make sure you always keep the spot where you left off too.
Because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors.
Keep going. You need this one.
Oh, you got it right there for you. Yeah, because this only giving me one verse at a time. But it's like I got it.
Yeah, you. I would just either go to the actual scripture in the book or go to the. If you don't have the Bible app, you know what I mean, I would suggest you get that. You know what I mean, yeah, because you want to make sure that I mean you're getting the right information. Google's not going to give you
Okay.
all the right information, and they'll try to add in they little seasoning sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Even if you write down King James version, they still gonna try to. They're gonna be like, "Oh, you meant the new edition, right?" You know what I mean? So they'll mess with you. Don't just put your trust into Google. Like you know what I mean? If you need the Bible app, get the Bible app. But I would suggest you get you a King James version of the Bible. There's one right here if you want to use that too. You know what I mean?
Got you.
Let me know if it becomes more of a struggle, then we'll just use the. I mean, and I'll flip it for you. So yeah, just we on verse 3 right now. Genesis chapter 37 and verse 3. You're on verse 3, right? Yeah, you're on verse 3. Oh no, just read verse 3 again. Also, you need to keep going verse to verse.
Yeah.
So I can.
You said verse 3 though, right? Yeah. Okay, I got it. Genesis chapter 37, verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors.
Keep going. Here you go right here. Salaki for that.
You on verse 3 or 4?
Where'd you leave off at?
I just read 3.
You just read 3? Okay, give me 4 now.
Con. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceable unto him.
Okay, they couldn't speak peaceably to him. So he was the hated brother. You know what I mean? He was like we would probably call it the black sheep, but you know what I mean. He was the outcast. He was the outcast within his brothers because his father showed so much favoritism to him. You know what I mean? Here go Jacob doing it again. You know what I mean? But his brothers hated him because of the favoritism that his father was giving him. Right. So we're gonna get we can keep what verse you on?
I just
Oh,
read
you
4.
on?
We on verse 5.
Let's just keep going. Yeah, we're gonna keep going until we get down to verse 8. Go ahead and keep going. I don't want to give too much up right now.
And Joseph dreamed it a dream.
You're on verse 6 right now, right?
Verse 5.
You on verse 5?
Con.
Okay, Con. Go ahead.
And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him. Yet the more.
Okay. So why did they hate him? Keep going. What happened in his dream that made him hate him? Keep going.
And he
Verse
said
6.
unto them, Here, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed it. For behold, we were binded, sheavish in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves still round about, and made obsepsis, what? Obsepsis to my sheaf.
Obeisance.
obeisance to my sheep. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou
Shout,
shout?
shout,
Shalt,
shout thou,
shalt thou indeed ruin over us,
reign over us.
reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words.
Okay, so that's verse 8. So what we're getting into right now is just like, okay, so the brothers already hated him enough already. You know what I mean? But he got this gift where he can interpret dreams. You know what I'm saying? He had this gift from the Lord. The Lord gave him this dream specifically for a reason. The Lord knows his destiny. Well, I wouldn't say destiny, but the Lord knows what he's going to have to do in the future. So the Lord gave him this gift of being able to interpret dreams, right? So he's already hated enough already. But he had a dream that he's going to rule over his brothers. And he told him this dream. You know what I mean? He told him that this is going to happen in this time period. I'm gonna rule. Well, not this time period, but this is going to happen one day that I'm going to rule over you. You know what I mean? This is what my dream is telling me, that one day I'm going to rule over you. You know what I mean? And his brothers looking at him like, you know what I mean? I'm about to kill this fool. You know what I mean? Who this fool think he is? He talking like it's already bad enough to the fact that you already are the favorite son, but now you trying to talk to me like you gonna rule over me, like you gonna be like. And mind you, these are his older brothers. You know what I mean? Benjamin's not even in the picture yet. You know what I'm saying? These are his older brothers, and they looking like you gonna rule over me, like oh, Salaki, Benjamin is in the picture because he came in 35, but like you gonna rule over me, like who you think you are? You know what I'm saying? Who do you think you are? So they just thinking like, you know what I mean? It developed a deep hatred for him, a deep hatred to the point where this ain't even my brother. This is a nuisance right here. He's just, you know what I mean? He's in the way. He's really in the way. So let's keep it going. I mean, so we get into Joseph being able to interpret dreams. You know what I'm saying? It's the start off of it. So okay, Joseph has a long story. So what I'm gonna just go through the details real quick because I want to try to get through as much as Israel as possible. I mean, where's the time check at 8:05? Okay, we still got time. So okay, so this is what happens. Joseph is hated. Joseph one day wakes up. He wants to go. This is the records of Joseph. I mean, it's not story. This is records. This is actually what happened in the past. These are the progenitors of our nation. You know what I mean? These are the men who started who are the start off of the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay. So these are records that actually happened, just as well as Moses happened, just as well as Christ happened, just as well as, you know what I mean, all the other records in the Bible happen, right? So when you get into Joseph, you see that, you know what I mean, his father made him a colorful garment, which made them hate him even more because it showed favoritism. You know what I mean? It showed favoritism onto him, and they just feel like, okay, well, this man must not love us like that. You know what I mean? So that hatred becomes, it's like the hatred we deal with today. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? The hatred that, just look at the examples of what we see today. You see a brother, he's grown up in the same situation as us in poverty and everything like that, but he finds a way. He finds a way. He finds a way to be able to become successful within this nation. You know what I mean? This we be how can I say? Be fruitful in this place. So what happens? You know what I mean? They start to make it seem like he's acting different. Oh yeah, you think you uppity, you think you better than us, you think you this, you think you that, and then the it starts off as that, and then the hatred develops into something where I'm gonna kill this, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna rob him, and I'm gonna kill him. You know what I'm saying? Because he think he's better than me. He think that he's something, and that's the same thing you get within the situation as far as with Joseph and his brother. You know what I mean? In the days of old to the same days of what we deal with today. You know what I mean? You get any type of success within this nation, you know what I mean? There's gonna be some people that's not gonna like you just because of your success. You know what I mean? It's the why me situation. Why not me? Why not me? You know what I'm saying? But that's what Joseph was going through at that time period. And then not just that, Joseph had all these things going for himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? He's able to interpret dreams. God gave him a gift, you know what I'm saying? And all these things like that. Like he's got a lot of things going for himself that made them develop this hatred where we want to kill this man. So as he goes to go look for his brothers one day, you know what I mean? His father sends him off to go look for his brothers. What do? They start to plot to kill him. You know what I mean? They plot to kill him. And then what happens? They throw him in a ditch. They were gonna leave him there to die. You know what I mean? Then Judah comes up with a plan, like, why are we just gonna leave him here to die? We might as well make a profit out of it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, they were going to kill him at first, then Reuben stopped him. You know what I mean? That was the Lord right there. But Reuben stopped him. You know what I mean? Reuben said, you know what I mean? Don't you can you I mean, do what you want with him, but just don't kill him. You know what I mean? So they threw him in a ditch, left him there. You know what I mean? And Judah comes up with that plan. Let's just sell him.
You said who suggests this to happen? The Lord?
Now, the Lord didn't suggest for them to do what they did.
Oh,
They did what they did out of pure hatred for him. They hated him for what he was and what he was doing. You know what I mean? He's the youngest. He's a favorite. He has this gift. He has this beautiful garment that his father made for him. You know what I mean? Like, why you didn't make me that garment, Dad? You know what I mean? Like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you know how it is. You know what I mean?
So it wasn't something he done to them. It was just the love he got.
It's the love that he got. And exactly. That's exactly what we see today. You know what I'm saying? But that's because of the love he had and the things that was going on for him. His brothers hated him even more, right? And then not just that, he told him, "I'm gonna reign over you one day." You know what I mean? I'll be over you one day.
You say reign, you rule over.
Rule over him. I'm gonna rule over you one day. So this is what happens. They throw him in a ditch. Judah comes up with the plan, sell him into slavery. You know what I mean? They sell him, and then they sell him. I mean, they sell him to these dudes, and then the dudes sell him to this dude, and he's serving him. Come to find out, you know what I mean, he's not really being treated bad in the place that he's at. You know what I mean? It's just like he was actually being shown favor where he was at also. You know what I mean? He was sold, but he wasn't treated as, you know what I mean, you would think a slave is supposed to be treated. You know what I'm saying? But one day his master's wife tries to sleep with him. Mind you, these are heathens. You know what I'm saying? Joseph knows the law. You know what I mean? He's not going to disobey the law only because he's in ownership of someone else. You know what I'm saying? So this heathen woman's trying to sleep with him. She keeps passing herself on to him, like, you know what I mean? Let's go. You want to, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you belong to us. Like, you belong to me. Like, you're going to do what I say. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And Joseph's denying her. He keeps denying her to the point where she goes and she makes it seem as if he does some type of wrong towards her. And so the master gets fed up and sells him again. He sells him off. You know what I mean? And now Joseph's in prison. You know what I mean? Joseph sits in prison, and come to find out, there's this butcher and baker that are Pharaoh's servants who get thrown in prison because they displease Pharaoh. They get thrown into prison. So we're going to get into where we left off. Like I said, Joseph's record is long. You know what I'm saying? Joseph has a long record, and we ain't got enough time to go into all that. So I just want to give you a little pathway into where we're leading to right now. Okay. So now we're getting into we'll get into Pharaoh throwing the butcher and the baker into the prison cell. Now this is very important because these are the things that are going to lead up into Joseph's tribulation. You know what I mean? Joseph finds an outcome to his situation. He goes through his hell, but he gets out of his hell because of the gifts that he was blessed with, as far as being an interpreter of dreams. So Pharaoh throws his butcher and baker into jail cell. So let me get Genesis 40:1. Let me know when you got it.
Got it.
Okay, Con. You see the book is better. You know what I'm saying? Get you a sword, brother. Get you a sword. Trust me, it works a lot better. Go ahead.
And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. Pharaoh was worth.
Shalom, sis. What's going on?
Oh shoot.
Oh, you need the mic. Oh yeah, yeah. Try start from the beginning. I'm pretty sure they heard you, but just go ahead and start from the beginning.
And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butler and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in work, and he put them in work in the house of the captain of the guard, into the prisons, the place where Joseph was bound.
Boom. This is where Joseph's at. You know what I'm saying? So these things are going to lead up into something happening. So let's get give me verse 5.
Verse 5. And they dreamed a dream, both of them. Each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bounded in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And Joseph came in unto them in the morning, and looked it upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh officer that were within him the words the words of his lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said
Okay.
unto him,
You good on that one. Okay, so this is what's going on. Like they dream they were having they both had dreams that troubled them. You know what I mean? And they didn't they made them sad. You know what I mean? They didn't know what was going on. So they needed someone to, you know what I mean, tell them exactly what they seen, like what the vision that they seen in their sleep. You know what I mean? So come to find out, Joseph's able to, he has that gift. So he's able to interpret. You know what I mean? And now Joseph's going to give them the interpretation of their dreams. And all he asks is that, you know what I mean, if they do get a chance where they sit in front of Pharaoh again to acknowledge the fact that, you know what I mean, there is somebody sitting in their prison cell with a gift from God. You know what I mean? And that's all he asks. You know what I mean? So we can get into that. Let me get verse 14.
verse 14.
Okay, so lock it real quick. In the interpretation, before we get any further, jump ahead of it. In the interpretation, Joseph is telling the butcher and the baker that one will die and one will live. That's what their dreams meant. One's going to get mercy from Pharaoh and be able to, you know what I mean, sit in a high place with Pharaoh, and one's going to be murdered by Pharaoh. You know what I mean? Now, when he gets into the interpretation, that's when he gets into who's going to live and who's going to die. So go ahead and go give me verse 14. So like I just had to get that one out real quick.
Verse 14. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and shew kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house.
So Joseph's trying to find his way out. I mean, so what he's using is his gifts to get out of that prison cell. You know what I mean? So get down to verse 20.
Verse 20. And keep and it came to pass that the third day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants. And he
Lifted.
lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker amongst his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hands. But he hanged it, the chief baker.
He hanged.
He hanged?
Hanged.
Okay, yes, sir. But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them.
Okay. Go ahead. Finish it. Go to finish 23.
Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him.
Forget him. Okay, so you know what I mean, we get into it, you know what I mean, Joseph is asking, well, he asked for them to remember him. You know what I mean? Now, who ends up getting Who ends up getting killed? No, who ends up getting killed in that verse you just read just now? The chief baker. The baker gets killed. The butler gets put back in his position, and the baker gets killed. Right. So in the dream, we should have got into the interpretation. That's more so in the class for Joseph. But you know what I mean, in the dream, Joseph interprets that one of them is going to die, one of them is going to live, and his whatever he said came true. You know what I mean, he told the baker that he would die. You know what I mean, his dream is interpreting that he's going to die on in a in those particular days, and the baker was going to was going to be back in his position, right? So everything that Joseph said was true, but the butler, he forgot about Joseph. So Joseph's still sitting in that cell, even though he interpreted that dream and showed the wonders of, you know what I mean, of the gift that God gave him, right? So Joseph's still sitting in the cell, right? So what we going to next? Let's get into um Genesis. We already did 40. Let's see. Give me Genesis 41 and 1. So man,
Con.
Salakia. Yeah, give me Genesis 41 and 1.
And it came to pass at the end of the 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed it, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, they came up out of the rivers 7 wild favorite. What? Kind? What's that word?
I'm sorry. Where you at?
Kine.
Oh, kind.
Kind. Okay. Kind and
Fat fleshed.
fat fleshed. And they fed in a meadow.
Yeah.
Meadow.
Meadow.
And behold, 7 other kind came upon after them out of the river.
Okay, Salakia. Salakia. Okay, so this is Salakia. I think I jumped. Let me see. Because I want to get into when Pharaoh. Okay. No, I didn't jump, Salakia. So Pharaoh, so we're about to get into Pharaoh having a vision also. And this vision is going to trouble Pharaoh, right? So they're explaining what's being explained right now is the vision that Pharaoh's seeing. He's seeing he's seeing certain things in his vision. I mean, that's what we were going through. I don't want you to go through the whole thing though, because it's like, I mean, we got a certain amount of time. And so Pharaoh's having this vision, and it troubled him when he woke up. So much so to the point where he was afraid, and he was depressed about it. So go to verse 8.
Verse 8. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the musicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interrupt them unto Pharaoh.
Interpret.
Who?
Interpret.
Oh, yeah, interpreted them unto Pharaoh.
So, I mean, Pharaoh's troubled about his dream. He's calling everybody in Egypt. You know what I mean? Everybody in the land of Egypt, all the magicians, anybody that he thought could help him out. No one could help him. Now, one person can interpret this dream. They don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? When you get into verse 1, you see what the dream is. So if you want to do your research on everything and stuff like that, go to verse 1, you read the dream. On Genesis 41 and verse 1, you read the actual vision of what Pharaoh's seen. You know what I mean? And then mind you, this is the Most High putting this on him, you know what I mean, for him to see. You know what I mean? And only Joseph can interpret it. So he's going through everybody in Egypt. He's going through everybody in Egypt, and no one's able to help him. All the magicians, all his and the wisest people in Egypt can't help him. So go ahead to verse 9.
Verse 9, Con. then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was worth.
He was wroth. Okay,
Pharaoh was wroth.
go ahead and stop that. Go ahead and stop that. So Pharaoh, Pharaoh is depressed because of what he's seen. It troubled him. You know what I mean? It spooked him. It spooked him. So he's like getting into a stage where he's like, you know what I mean, he's developing some type of madness, like, you know what I mean, because he can't find out what's going on with this dream. So ends up that the what is it? The baker, it was it the butler or the baker? The baker, he was he remembers Joseph all of a sudden because Pharaoh is going through it so tough, he all of a sudden remembers, like, you know what? When I was in prison, you know what I mean? You would think he would remember when he was in prison, right? But he's just like, when I was in prison, there was this dude, he told me about how I would get out of prison, right? So he brings this word to Pharaoh. Pharaoh is now going to call on to whoever this man is because he's desperate now. He's desperate. He needs somebody to be able to interpret this. So he calls on a prisoner. This is how desperate he is. He gets a prisoner to tell him the interpretation of this dream. So go give me verse 14. Give me verse 14 down to 16.
Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon, and he shoved, and he was saved, and he saved himself,
Shaved himself.
and he shaved himself, and changed
His raiment. So he got fresh.
raiment.
He got cleaned up. You know what I mean? Because he's sitting in a cell, you know what I mean?
Raiment. Okay.
So now he's getting cleaned up and he's about to go meet the Pharaoh. Go ahead.
Huh. And came in
Unto.
unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can
Interpret it.
interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou canst, what's that?
Canst.
Canst understand a dream to interpret it.
So he's asking him, I heard that you know how to, you know what I mean, interpret dreams. And I had a dream. So now he's gonna tell him about his dream. Go ahead. Verse 16.
And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not in me. God should give Pharaoh an answer of peace.
Okay. So God should get so this is Joseph doing what he was taught best. You know what I'm saying? We don't take acknowledgement. You know what I mean? We give all the glory to the most high. You know what I'm saying? It's not he Joseph is still even within all the troubles he's seen, still giving acknowledgement to the most high. You know what I mean? And that's what you should be able to take with you at all times. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you do, whatever good's going on for you, you you give all that acknowledgement to the most high. That's not me. That's the most high did that. You know what I'm saying? And that's why and this is the humbleness of Joseph. Because Joseph was a cool brother. Everybody he encountered with, they loved him. You know what I'm saying? He's a cool brother, like, you know what I mean? And he's a humble brother. You can see it within what he said in that moment. Because he was just a prisoner. You know what I'm saying? He was just a prisoner, but you know what I mean, he was taken out of that dark cell, put in front of, you know what I mean, the head king. You would think that he'd be kissing the king's ass, right? No, he's still giving all praises to the most high. You know what I'm saying? And he's acknowledging that this is not my gift. This is the Lord's gift. The Lord gave me this. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? You would think him saying that because our gods weren't their gods. He could have offended Pharaoh, and Pharaoh could have just been like, all right, well, get your ass back in that cell. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You got to put yourself in Joseph's shoes at that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just left the cell and now he's saying something that could possibly, you know what I mean? How can I say, offend the Pharaoh, right? But he's still giving praises to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at this brother's characteristic. You know what I'm saying? But we'll get into that. So Pharaoh, so Joseph interprets Pharaoh's dream, right? We got to go through this real quick. I want to do this real quick. I mean, we could, maybe we can't. Maybe we can't. Okay, maybe we can't. Salaki. Let me see. Okay. All right. Let's get one. We can't because it's a lot that we got to go through, and that is like let's just see what we can do for right now. So Joseph is going to interpret Pharaoh's dream. So go to verse 25 and give me verse 25 real quick. Real quick. Try to read as fast as you can, brother. Not too fast, but just
Genesis what?
41 and 25.
41.
Yeah. Kind
Excuse me. 41, 25.
right.
And Joshua said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God has sued Pharaoh what he is about to do.
Okay, so Pharaoh told Joseph his dream, and now Joseph is going to interpret this dream for him. Go ahead. Just give me
The
that
seven,
one.
the
Yeah.
seven good kind are 7 years, and the 7 good years are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill favored kind that came up after them are 7 years. And it's in the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind should be 7 years of famine. This is the thing. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he so unto Pharaoh. Behold, there came 7 years of great what? Came 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of the famine flowing, for it shall be very grievous. And for that dream was double unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass.
So, like, what verse are you on right now?
I'm on verse 33 now.
Verse 33.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now,
All right, you can go right there. So we're gonna get into 34 right now, but man, nah, nah, we won't do that. Okay, so this is Joseph giving the interpretation and interpreting the dream from Pharaoh. The dream that stressed Pharaoh out this whole time. He didn't know what was going on. He's telling him that the 7 corn and there will be plenty. There will be 7 years of plenty, and there will be 7 years of famine. Right. So then that 7 years of plenty gives you a, you know what I mean? This is a warning. This was a warning. You know what I mean? This is a warning that in that 7 years of plenty, you need to be stocking food, as much food as you can, as much food as possible. Did you have something you want to say?
oh no,
Okay, kind of. Okay. So within that 7 years, you need to be stocking as much as you can. You need to get as much food as you can, stock it up, because after that 7 years of plenty, which is means like good harvest, you know what I mean, great harvest, like I mean, you got, you know what I mean, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot coming into the country. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be, you know what I mean, not harvest, goats, all that stuff like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, food. You're gonna get a lot of food. You know what I mean? A lot of food within, it's gonna be a great season, pretty much. 7 years of good season. Okay. You'll be able to harvest within that season. You'll be able to get all the food you need, collect all the food you need. Now, all this information, this is beneficial for Pharaoh because this is going to make him rich. Also, not only is it going to save him from death, but it's also going to make him rich because he'll be the only, you know what I mean? He'll be the only ruler that is prepared for what is to come. No one can really predict the weather. You know what I'm saying? You can't predict the weather. You can't just say, oh, yeah, it's going to be 7 years of famine. Like nothing's going to grow. It's going to be fall for 7 years. Go give it to your brother. It's going to be fall for 7 years. You can't predict that. You know what I'm saying? So this is going to make Pharaoh, not only is it going to save him and his people, but it's also going to make him extremely wealthy. You know what I mean? Hence where you get, you you know what I mean, a lot of the wealth from Egypt. You know what I'm saying? That could have been like I'm not gonna sit there and say like I know for sure. That could be a lot where all that magnificentness comes from in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? You never know. I'm not gonna make that assumption, but I'm just saying. I mean, but all in all, you know what I mean, he had 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. That famine affected everybody. It didn't just affect Egypt. You know what I'm saying? It affected everybody. I mean, we're gonna get into that when you see Jacob and his land struggling. You know what I'm saying? Like Joseph's gonna be able to save them to get out of that. But where we at right now as far as time check? We might not have time for all that. I was gonna get into verse 34, and that's just that time of verse 34 and 38, and that's just Joseph's matter of fact, we probably can get into 38. We probably can get into 38. Okay, we can get into 38. We can get into 38 because I want you to see what happens with Joseph after he makes the interpretation. Not only does he get out of prison, but also he becomes something way more than he ever thought he could be. And now, not only was he able to interpret Pharaoh's dream and that came true, but now he's going to be able to interpret what happened in his dream. You know what I mean? And that coming true. So let me just get verse 38 down to, if you can't read as fast as you can, 38 down to 43. And we'll probably just we'll wing it from there. We'll lay out the scriptures and wing it from there. So Genesis 41 and 38.
And Pharaoh said unto his servant, can we find such a one as this, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for so much as God hath showed thee all this, this is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house,
Okay.
and according unto the word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be gathered. What's that? Then thou. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And behold, and Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph, and put it upon Joseph's hand. And what's that word? Erohim and Vestra.
What verse you on?
Chapter verse 42. I'm sorry.
Verse 42. So let me see real quick. He arrayed him investors.
In what?
Investors of fine linen.
And put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried before him, bow the knee, and he made him rule over all the land of Egypt.
So Pharaoh is he's raising Joseph up to a high status. You know what I mean? Not only is he raising him up to a high status, he's raising him up second to him, second to Pharaoh, right? So he will be ruler of all the land, and people will have to identify him as that ruler. You know what I mean? When you look at the ranking, it's Pharaoh and then Joseph. This is how of high status. Pharaoh ruled the country. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, just think about that. Like I wouldn't say a vice president, but more like a king and I want a king and a prince. Like, he's becoming the prince of the country. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to be the ruler, and this is Pharaoh giving him all this just because he was able to give him that interpretation of that dream, because that dream meant everything to that land, because they could have died. A lot of them could have died, but he was given that gift for this moment. And not only is Joseph going to be able to save their people, but he's also going to be able to save his people because of the power that he's going to have, right? So go ahead and keep going. We're going to get down to what verse? Just keep going for right now. I'll tell you what verse to stop at.
I'm on 44, right?
You on 44? Oh yeah, you on 44? Okay.
It's a con.
Yeah, yeah. Continue on 49.
Okay. Continue down to 49.
Yeah, go to 49.
Oh, go to 49.
Yeah, go to 49.
And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much until he left numbering, where it was without number. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came.
Okay, so now we getting into the tribes now, right? Back into the tribes. This is where you get Ephraim and Manasseh, right? Ephraim, the Puerto Ricans, Manasseh, the Cubans, right? This is where you get in the birth of those two tribes, right? So during the time period of plenty, which it was saying in the scripture, during the time period, because there was a time of time of plenty, Salakia. There was a time of plenty and there was a time of famine. So during that time period of plenty, Joseph had 2 sons, right? He had Manasseh and he had Ephraim. So that's during the time period of Manasseh and Ephraim's birth. So this is the birth of 2 tribes within the 12 tribes of Israel, right? We got into Benjamin, birth of Benjamin, then we got into the start off of Joseph. Now we can just start off of Ephraim and Manasseh. Go ahead and keep going.
The Pharaoh called Joseph name Zaphanath. What's that word?
It's like, where are you at?
Verse 45.
No. Don't go on verse 45.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, verse 50.
You on verse 50?
Right.
And unto Joseph was born to some sons, which Asenath,
right,
the daughter of what is that? Potipharah,
right,
or Potipharah? Go ahead. Priest on the bear unto him. Go start from 51.
And Joseph called the name of the firstborn. What's that?
Manasseh.
For
Manasseh.
God. Who? Manasseh?
Yeah.
For God said he has made me forget all my toil. And all my
toil. Yeah, because
you know?
Joseph had a rough journey.
Toil? What's that?
Toil. It's like all the stuff that he went through at that time period. Joseph had a rough, situation. He was going through imprisonment, slavery. He was abandoned. He was hated by his brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like he had a lot going on. But he named his son that because the Lord, made him forget about those troubles. You know what I'm saying? He's in the position where, he went from the most hated to the most loved. So he's loved by everybody. Everybody's bowing their heads to him, and they're respect. They gotta respect him. Like he was just a prisoner, and just like that, that's how the Lord turns your situation around. You know what I'm saying? You may not see it. And Joseph didn't see it either. All he knew is that at some point he would rule. Jaden, seriously. All he knew at a time period is that he was going to rule. He didn't know how it was going to happen or what was going to happen. But his journey, that was the walk he had to go through in order to get where he's at. And just like that, the Most High changed his whole situation. And even within his toil, he was still acknowledging the Most High. Like, this ain't even my gift. This is the Most High's gift. This is the Lord's gift. You know what I'm saying? The Lord gave this to me to be able to, speak for him. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, keep going. Toil and all my father's house. You at 52 now.
In the name of the second call, he Ephraim. For God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction.
That's heavy.
of the suffering.
That's heavy. You know what I'm saying?
So it's like victory in that place.
Man, Joseph deep, man. Joseph real deep. You know what I'm saying? It's heavy.
That dude lazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like in that time period, I mean, you would think like a brother in that situation would find no hope. You know what I'm saying? But that's faith right there. You know what I'm saying? That's faith in the Most High. But you know what I'm saying? So um, we're gonna get So what happens? He has his sons. He's fruitful. He's he's ruling. You know what I mean? And then these men come to him. Now, who are these men? You know what I'm saying? These men come to him during the time period of the famine. You know what I'm saying? So there's a time period of the famine, and these men look very, very recognizable to Joseph. You know what I'm saying? These end up being his brothers that sold him off into slavery. Now, what would you do in that time period? Because, you know what I mean, Joseph's been ruling for a minute now. You know what I'm saying? He's already in the next 7 years. He's already in the next 7 years in within the famine. So he's already been ruling for a minute, beloved by everybody. And now he's back in face to face with the man who he loved. He loved. You know what I mean? You love your brothers. You love your brothers. And for them to do something like that to you, you know what I mean? He can either get vengeance or he can get, you know what I mean, healing. You know what I'm saying? Because things like that, they trouble you. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes from the people that you love the most. Like, I mean, we all know, you know what I mean, you've been through certain situations where a person that is close to you, they turn their back on you and they've betrayed you in some of the most harshest ways.
Right, for no reason.
Now you get the opportunity where you got your whole life in their hands. You gonna kill them or you gonna spare mercy? Now we get back into Joseph's characteristics because Joseph is a heavy brother. You know what I'm saying? And he is a very, very, very noble brother. You know what I'm saying? Because at first you're gonna see it like he's going to want that vengeance, but more so to the point where it's like, I mean, I'm gonna do away with you, but I want my little brother. You know what I mean? I want Benjamin. Like, give me Benjamin, and I'm gonna do away with y'all. So he comes up with this plan, this plot. Let's see if we got enough time to go through it. Let's see. Okay. Let me just go through it real quick. Give me Genesis 45 and 1. Real quick. And we'll just run through that. So this is what happens. These men are in front of them. They're talking about, you know what I mean, their father's old. You know what I mean? They need to get food. They need to, you know what I mean, they need this and that. And he's just like, you know what I mean, you come in, bring your father, bring your brother, bring everybody. You know what I mean? They come with just the brothers, right? There's a situation where Joseph gets this plot, right? Joseph gets this plot where he's going to make it seem as if Benjamin's a thief. So he's going to make it seem like he's going to imprison Benjamin. Really, he's just planning on just bringing him with him, but without revealing himself to his other brothers that put him into slavery. But he sees the how can I say, man, what's the word I'm looking for? Like he sees it's on the tip of my tongue right now. I hate that I can't say it right now. He sees the mannerism in their brothers that they have because of the pain that Jacob felt when he lost Joseph. Because Jacob mourned even still to that day for Joseph. Even still to that day. You know what I mean? Jacob mourned for Israel mourned for Joseph. You know what I mean? They seen the pain that their father had to suffer. And them knowing that whole time that they were responsible. You know what I mean? They said that they brought his bloody garment, his colorful garment to their father and said that he was killed by a beast. So Jacob's thinking this whole time that his son was just, you know what I mean? Just think of the thoughts that are going through his head, the challenges that he's facing as far as like, why, Lord? Why did this happen to my son? Like, you know what I mean? This is my favorite son. Like, you know what I mean? He's just like he's going through all that stress and depression during that whole time period. During that whole time period. And they just like they can't tell him. You know what I mean? So they just like they feel some if somebody can tell me in the chat the word I'm looking for, they felt I don't got it. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's like it. They felt mm, they felt They felt regret for what they were doing, what they did. They felt regret for that they sold their brother into slavery, and now they have to sit through all that depression that their father had. Guilty, but that's not the word I was looking for. But I'm just gonna use regret for right now. Salakia. So you know what I mean? They feel this sense of regret. So now it's just like they're sitting in front of this man who they don't know. They just know that this man is a high-ranking man. He's a ruler. They don't know. They don't know that this is. You know what I mean? Last time they left Joseph, he was about 17 years old. You know what I mean? That was about damn near 14 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But probably more than that. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely more than that. More than that. So they just sitting in front of this man, and they're just like, you know what I'm saying? Guilt, yes. Guilt is one of them. Remorse, yes. Thank you. The water. Appreciate that. Remorse, guilt, all those are great. You know what I'm saying? So they're feeling all these things, you know what I'm saying? And it's heavy on them. So they just like, we about to lose Benjamin now? Because we responsible for him. You know what I'm saying? Just like they were responsible for Joseph. Now we're responsible for Benjamin, and now we about to lose him just because, you know what I mean, of what is the situation that's going. Now Joseph is causing this situation to happen, but they don't know that. They think that, you know what I mean, please don't take our brother, please. Like, and they see their reaction, and they see, like, you know what I mean, like they really felt that remorse. The water too for that. Salakia. Hey, Shalom, sis, what's going on? You know what I mean? They felt that remorse. They felt that remorse. So he's seen it. He's seen that reaction. And he's just like, you know what I mean? It was a situation where it filled, you know what I mean? It filled Joseph's heart. Like, damn, like they really regret what they did. You know what I'm saying? So Joseph is going to reveal himself to them, and we're going to get that in Genesis 45. You got it?
Verse 1.
Mm-hmm. God, let me get verse 1.
Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood before him, and he cried, "Cause every man to go out for me." And there stood no man with me, while Josh made himself known unto his brethren.
Joseph.
Yeah, excuse me. Joseph made himself known unto his brethren, and he weep aloud. And the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his
Hey,
brethren,
Shalom, sis. The water for that answer too.
I'm
I
Joseph.
appreciate that.
Doubt my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled as his presence. And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joshua, your brother.
Joseph.
I don't know why I keep saying Josh. Joseph, your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourself, that ye sold me either. For God did send me before you to preserve life.
So, like, what verse you on right now?
I just finished verse 5. Verse 6?
Verse 6. Give me verse 9 real quick.
Verse 9.
So Joseph is, you know what I mean, that is a forgiving brother, because he wept. He was just like, you know what I mean, he broke down like, it's me. Like, I'm the one that y'all, like, you know what I mean, it's me. It's your brother Joseph. It's the one y'all sold to Egypt. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that you got to understand the heart-filled moment at that period, because at this time period they thinking like, we really, like, we destroyed our brother. We destroyed him. We sold him into slavery just because of our own hatred and because of our own, you know what I mean, envy. You know what I mean? Now they have a chance of redemption. You know what I'm saying? So this is a heartfelt moment at this time period. You know what I'm saying? So Joseph reveals himself, and let's get into nah, Salakia. We probably ain't got time for that. Let's just get into it. You know what I mean? Joseph records is just, you know what I mean, it's amazing. You know what I'm saying? Just give me verse 9.
Hast ye in go up unto my father, and say unto him, Thou shalt thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt.
Now this is his dream coming into fruition. This is an interpretation of his dream coming to fruition. Because you know what I mean, now he's their Lord. Now they're looking up to him, like, you know what I mean, like, dang, like he's over us. Like, Jay, let me tell you something. Please handle that. Okay? And stop doing that. I see what you're doing. But he's now he's, you know what I mean, everything that he dreamed in his dreams that he was telling his brothers when at the age of 17 is now coming in to life years later, decades later. You know what I'm saying? And now this is the actual physical part of it. This is actually it happening, what he was seeing back when he was 17. Okay? Go ahead, keep going.
God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not, and thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children, and their children, and their flocks, and their herds, and all that thou hast.
Okay, that's cool. Now give me verse 16 and then we'll be done with that.
Con. And the fame thereof was heard in the Pharaoh house, saying,
Joseph's.
Joseph, brethren, are come, and it pleases Pharaoh well in his service.
So at that time period, Joseph is, you know what I mean, Joseph's opening up about who they are, what happened in his past and everything like that. And this pleased Pharaoh. Pharaoh's like, bring your family, bring them all in. You know what I mean? Like we ain't doing without at all up in here. You know what I mean? We live in the good life up in here just because of what you dreamed. You know what I mean? Well, just because of what you interpreted on this dream. You know what I'm saying? Like we wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for you. So bring your family, bring everybody you need. Like, you know what I mean? Get your father, bring them all over here. Whatever you need, like we got it for you over here. So Pharaoh's cool with it. Joseph brings his father. You know what I mean? Jacob comes to see Joseph. You probably can get into that. Let me see. Nah, we won't get into that. Let me see. Okay, so we'll get into a little bit. So his brothers they get their father, they tell him that Joseph is still alive. They bring him to so he Joseph like, you know what I mean, bring this man to me so I can see his face before I die. You know what I mean? Because Joseph old at that time period. Salakia, Jacob is old at that time period, or Israel's old at that time period. You know what I mean? But he wants to see his son before he dies. He's like, oh, not only is my son alive at that, but also he's ruling Egypt, the land of Egypt. You know what I mean? Like, take me to go see this man. Like, I need to see him before I die. Right? So go give me Genesis 48 and 8. Right? This is when Joseph and Jacob are reconnected and they're brought back to each other. You know what I'm saying? So Jacob is going to give the blessings to his sons, which are Manasseh and Ephraim. So Manasseh and Ephraim are both going to receive a blessing from their father, from their grandfather, right? And we're going to get into what happens. All right. Let me get 48 in verse 8.
Con. And Israel beheld Joseph's sons and said, Who are these? And Joseph said unto his father, They are my sons, who God hath given me in this place.
Slack it, if I may too. You know what I mean? What we doing is completely different from the Christian church. This is, you don't even get as much reading, or you don't get as much um detail as what we're doing as far as getting into these scriptures. You know what I mean? Your churches and your synagogues and all them, they're gonna be telling you a bunch of stuff that you want to hear about your life and how you're gonna get out of your struggle. And this is how you're gonna get out your struggle. You know what I'm saying? You have to go into the records, you have to look at the struggles that your people went through before you, and that'd be a way for you to get through what you've been through, right? You know what I'm saying? Because Joseph didn't have a sweet life. He didn't just was born a ruler in Egypt. You know what I mean? There was a walk that he had to go through, and there was a trial he had to go through in order to be in the position that he was at. But the Most High stayed with him. You know what I'm saying? And he was faithful to the Most High. He didn't, you know what I mean? You could see through his life. He didn't sleep with that heathen woman. You know what I'm saying? He didn't sleep with that man's wife. He did a lot of things where he was still serving the Most High. And that's where we got to be at all times, regardless of how dark your situation. This is after the fact he was sold into slavery, you know what I mean, by his own kindred. Well, it's like it by his own siblings, by his own people that he loved. He was sold into slavery, and he still walked with the Lord through his whole mission. And he stayed faithful. And years later, decades later, he was able to get the the blessing that the Lord promised him. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way that we need to walk. You know what I'm saying? This is not no Christian church. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get into the scriptures. We're going to get into details of the scriptures. We're going to teach you really what's going on in this Bible. And you won't get that anywhere else. We're not going to tell you our own understanding and what you might get if you just, you know what I mean, pay us. No, we're telling you, we're giving you edification on this. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people can sit there and try to read the Bible and just get, you know what I mean, just like, dang, like I just don't get it. I don't understand it. I mean, you log into these classes, we're going to help you out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't the best teacher, but I mean, I'm just going off of what I know. You know what I'm saying? What I know is this is how I'm able to get into details of everything that we're going through as far as scripture to scripture. So like, yeah, I was cut you off, but you know what I mean, I just got to get that down because I realize that a lot because you know what I mean, sometimes when I'm driving my car to my slave or something like that, I'll listen to a Christian channel just to see what they got to say. And it's all phony baloney. It was this one Edomite lady that was talking about, you know what I mean, abortion's not unlawful. You can have an abortion, but it's just the way that you do it. You know what I mean? It's just some nonsense. But I don't even want to get into that. But so like we stand, let's stay on topic. Now Jacob is going to go. Now Jacob is on his way to go see his son who he thought was dead for decades. You know what I mean? Let's go.
Where am I again?
Genesis 48 and 8.
Read 8 again.
Genesis 48. You on 9 now?
I didn't read. No, I didn't read 8. Sorry.
Yeah, 48 and 8.
8. Okay. In Israel, behold, Joseph's son, and said, "Who are these?" And Joseph said unto his father, "They are my sons, who God hath given me in this place." And he said, "Bring them, I pray thee, unto me, and I will bless them." Now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near unto him.
So what happens when your elders get old? I mean, they lose their sight. You know what I mean? Same thing happening to Israel. You know what I'm saying? So the Israel, he couldn't see that well. You know what I mean, because he was very old at age. But go ahead.
And he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said unto Joseph, "I had not taught to see thy face, and lo, God hath sued me also thy seed." And Joseph brought them out and Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand.
So like if I made two, that was a real heavy verse. Like, you know what I mean? Jacob is like talking about like, you know what I mean? I've for years I've been waiting to see your face. And not only do I get to see your face, I get to see the face of your sons also. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Salaki.
And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand towards Israel left hand, and
Manasseh.
Manasseh,
Manasseh.
Manasseh in his left hand towards Israel right hand, and brought them near unto him.
Keep going.
And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon
Manasseh.
Manasseh head, guiding his hand willingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, God, before whom my father Abraham and Isaac did walk, the God which fed me all my life long unto his death, until this hold up. God which fed me all my life long until this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil. Bless the lad, and let my name be named on them, in the name of my father Abraham and Isaac.
Keep on.
Let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth.
Okay, so this is the blessing that Joseph is giving Ephraim and Manasseh. So Joseph noticing that the right hand is on Ephraim and the left hand is on Manasseh. Manasseh is the oldest. You know what I mean? So it should be vice versa. Because in Israelite custom, it's usually the firstborn that develops the inheritance. You know what I'm saying? But Ephraim's getting a better blessing being the younger from Jacob, you know what I mean, than Manasseh, which kind of it disturbed Joseph for a second. Like, hey, wait a minute, like pops, like I know you can't see, but you know what I mean, this one right here, he's the oldest. But Jacob's going, you know what I mean, put down something heavy for him. Like, you know what I mean? Like he knows what he's doing. Go ahead, keep going. Go to what verse you on? You on verse 17.
And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, he displeased him, and
Held.
he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto
Manasseh.
Manasseh head. And Joseph said unto his father, not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son. I know it. He also should become a people. He also should become a people, and he also should become great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. And he blessed them that day, saying, in thee shall Israel bless, saying, God made thee as Ephraim and as Manasseh, and he yet Ephraim before.
And he said Ephraim, and he said Ephraim before.
Oh, and he said Ephraim before Manasseh.
One more.
And Israel said unto Joseph, behold, I died, but God shall be with you and bring you again in the land of your fathers.
Okay, so when we got into that, you know what I mean, Joseph tried to switch hands, you know what I mean, because it should be the older that gets, you know what I mean, but the younger in this instance, you know what I mean, this was the most high working through, you know what I mean, Jacob at that time period, or Esau, Salakia, or Israel at that time period. But so Joseph tried to place his hand on Manasseh's head because he was the oldest, but Jacob said no. Like, you know what I mean, he's going to be the father of many nations. It's like, was that what it said? A multitude of nations. So, you know what I mean, Jacob knew exactly what he was doing at that time period when he was putting Ephraim before Manasseh, because now when we get into the nation of Israel, Ephraim ends up ruling. Now we can get into what's actually going on as far as Israel as a nation. Now, Israel could be explained as the 10 tribes, right? Or it can be explained as all 12. You say the nation of Israel, or you could say Judah and Israel. These type of interpretations in the Bible were put to explain like who is who. Now, as far as Judah and Ephraim, or Judah and the 10 tribes, or the southern tribes and the northern tribes, they're all Israel, right? We're all family. We're all God's chosen people. We're all given the law. We're all given his statutes. We're all given his commandments. We all should be walking in his ways. The 10 tribes, the southern tribes, the northern tribes, Ephraim, Judah, Jacob, Israel, what else they saying? You know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? When you look at, if you look at Israel, or it's just depending on it's depending on how they're explaining the situation. Right. Because Israel was split at a time period. We'll get into that right now. So you get into King Saul, King David, King Solomon. Now, in the time of King Solomon, I'm running through this real quick because it's already 9 o'clock. So lock in. But I'm gonna try to make this at 10 more minutes, if y'all can bear with me. 10 more minutes. In the time period of King Solomon slept with many heathen women, many strange women. In the time of his weakness, his old age, it led him into serving their gods or building temples for their gods, which displeased the Lord. Now we're in our kingdom at that time period. We had our kingdom established. We were living in our kingdom. What is the kingdom going to do? They're going to follow the ways of the king. You know what I'm saying? So in the time period of following the ways of the king, not only did Solomon turn away from the Most High, but also Israel did as well. The people within the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? You know, serving heathen gods, sleeping with heathen women. Like Solomon had a thousand of them. You know what I'm saying? And 1,000 ways he was displeasing the Most High, to the point where the Most High said that, okay, this is your punishment. I'm going to split this kingdom up. Right? So you had King Solomon's son, which is Jeroboam, and then you had Jeroboam, which was a servant of King Solomon. Jeroboam was told by a prophet, Ahijah, that he ripped up a garment into 10 different pieces and told him, now this is a message from the Lord, right? He told him that he would rule 10 nations, the 10 nations of Israel. So Israel and Judah would be split, southern and northern kingdom. You know what I mean? Jeroboam would rule Israel. Jeroboam would rule the southern kingdom. I mean, which was Judah, Benjamin, some of Levi, right? Or half of Levi. Okay. So I'm running through that because we probably won't be able to get through the scriptures of First Kings, but you can find all this in First Kings, right? First Kings, you go through those chapters, you'll read everything about Jeroboam. He ended up ruling over Israel, but he displeased the Most High because he sat there and he served other gods as well. So what did he do? He led the people also to serving other gods. You know what I'm saying? It's the same cycle with us. And then it became a cycle. You know what I mean? You had your certain few kings who stayed faithful to the Most High, and then you had your certain few who didn't. Which you had many who didn't. You had certain few who did, and you had many who didn't, right? And then you get and that was where the split happened between Israel and Judah. So Judah is on one side, Israel's on another side. Now we're at war with each other. You know what I'm saying? So God was with Judah for a minute until Judah started to mess up too. Now Israel messed up and got cut off from the Lord. I mean, we got into that from the first class when we talked about Judah in Jeremiah chapter 3. You know what I mean? Jeremiah chapter 3, you get into where, you know what I mean, Israel, they sat there, played the harlot, and they went and laid with many different gods, and then Judah came and followed right behind them, and they got cut off too, and we got cut off from the Lord. But the Lord also, he cut us off and also gave us a promise that he's going to write a bill of divorce, but he's going to be back, and he's going to bring us back in. Now that is a true merciful God right there. That's a true merciful power right there, because you think about it, just think if you married on to somebody and then you catch them cheating on you with somebody else, are you going to be so quick to forgive them? Nah, you gonna leave them forever. You know what I mean? You ain't even want nothing to do with them after that. Just like put yourself in, and that's why that metaphor of God being married on to us is so heavy. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think how much it displeases him that we serve Thanksgiving, that we serve strange gods that heathen customs give to us. All that freaking Buddha and you know what I'm saying, Sagittarius and all that stuff like that, all that crap. Even the Roman guys that Christianity gives us. You know what I'm saying? All these different things that we still lay in bed and we still sleep with other gods. And it's time for us to wake our people up and let them know, like, this is the true God. You know what I mean? This is the true God, and he is displeased with what you're doing. He tells you what not to do, and you still do it anyways. Why? Is because you're married on to other gods. So look at it from a point of a man walking in and seeing his woman laid up with another man. You know what I'm saying? Just think about it. But the Lord showed mercy on us, and he gave us another shot to be able to redeem ourselves and to follow his statutes and commandments. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean, Barakatah Yahweh Yahushai for Christ's sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? That was even able to be given that opportunity. So you know what I mean. You have the nation. Give me, you got the Apocrypha. Let me get second Esdras 13 and 40 real quick. We're we Salaka, we like at our last, we had our last two scriptures right now.
Oh, say that again.
Second Esdras 13 and 40. So the kingdom split. Both kingdoms ended up displeasing God. So we all got cut off. We all got cut off, and then God had to punish us in a way. Well, not punish us, but he turned his back on us. He turned his back on us, and he allowed us to do what we wanted to do the best, which was serve other nations. And in that serving other nations, we didn't realize how much those other nations hated us. So we've been under poverty ever since.
You said 14 what?
14, it's like it. Second Esdras 13 and 40.
Oh, 13.
So we're gonna get in second Esdras 13. You got it right now? Okay, so in second Esdras 13 and 40, this is a description of what's happening during the time period of Israel, because no one knows what happened to Israel at that time period. You know what I mean? It's Christ. It's like it's God's lost sheep. Now, where did they get lost to? You're gonna read it right now. Go ahead.
Those are the 10 tribes which will carry away prisoners out of their own. There are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Osa, the king.
Is that Hosea?
Hosea? Is that what it is? Hosea. The king.
Go ahead, keep going.
Who's Samanasha? What's that word there?
What is it?
Start with an S. SALMAN.
You said SALMAN?
ASAR. Yes, sir.
Salmanasseh?
Oh, Salmanasseh, the king of.
Go watch out for that
Assyria,
court. You're gonna hit the court. Watch out.
Where am I? Led away captive and carried them over the water.
Get away from the court.
And so came they into another land. But they took his counsel amongst themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
Okay, so and it's going into that they were escaping captivity, and they ended up into another land. Now that land being the land that was untouched. You know what I'm saying? An untouched land, which was, you know what I mean, if you had to guess or your opinion of what that land was, what do you think that land is? Where did Israel, what land did Israel go to? That untouched land? Yeah. No, Egypt was populated. Let me give you a hint. Where were the natives? The natives stationed before Columbus got here?
Here in America.
I just said it. I don't over here giving a damn answer. Right here in America. This is the land they came to.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? The 10 tribes, they came. I wouldn't say just here, but there was because we're scattered upon the whole earth. You know what I'm saying? We're in Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, we're in Haiti. You know what I mean? But at this time period, like the Bible is prophesying what is exactly happening to Israel at that time period. And Israel came here. Israel was here. They came to this land that was unknown. You know what I mean? And they dwelt here. But the problem is we went back into our old ways. So what happens? The heathen comes and he conquers us, just like he's done throughout the whole Bible. I mean, every record you're gonna see it. I mean, when we disobey and we displease the Lord, a heathen nation comes over and takes advantage of that. So that's what happened. Columbus came here. Um, You know what I mean? The Spanish came here, the British came here, like, you know what I mean? They came here, they enslaved us, they raped us, they robbed us, they killed us, and this is where the history we see in high school today starts from. You know what I mean? You don't get all that stuff that comes from the past and what happened, but you get where we left off, right? So this is where we left off. The natives are God's chosen people. You know what I mean? The Aztec Indians, Mexicans, were are God's chosen people. So what happened to them? The same thing that happened to us. They were conquered. They were enslaved. They were killed. You know what I mean? You look at the Trail of Tears. You look at all these different things. You look at, you know what I mean, all this different historical facts that happen. And you can see that everything lines up with the Bible. We probably won't be able to get the last two, but you know what I mean? I just want to we'll go from there. I didn't want to do a part two of this whole thing because matter of fact, let me just get Gab real quick. Because when we talking about Gab right now, Salakia. I mean, since we talking about Gab, we just got out of, I mean, that horrible holiday, Thanksgiving. So give me Genesis 49 and 19 real quick. Because we were just talking about what happened to Gad at that time period. Gad was damn near extinct for a second. You know what I mean? Like they killed, what was it? It's like 77 million Native Americans. You know what I mean?
Genesis, what again?
Genesis 49 and 19. So you get into all these horrible things that's happening to this people. You try to figure out why is this happening. It's because we decided to turn our backs on the Most High. So the Most High allowed us to have at it. And when we had at it, the heathens were able to treat us any type of way that they wanted to. We didn't know how much they hated us until now. You know what I mean? But go ahead.
Chapter 49, verse 19, right?
49 and 19. Genesis 49 and 19.
Genesis 49, 19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last.
At the last, right? So a troop did overcome them for a minute, and they damn near extinct them. They damn like you. It's hard to find Native Americans in certain places out in this country. Like you have to be out here or like certain places in order to be able to encounter, you know what I mean, Native Americans. You know what I mean? Because because their numbers were pushed so short because they were being killed at such a high mass.
It's
You
a
know,
difference between a Native American and Mexican, right?
I mean, what do you mean? Like as far as nationwise?
Nationwide.
Okay, so Aztec, which is Mexican, that's Issachar, and Native American, that's Gad. Seminole Indian, which is like in the Florida area and all that stuff like that, that's Reuben. Okay, so I mean, you come to enough classes, you'll see enough of it. You know what I mean? So you'll know. But Salakia for being over the time limit. Where we at right now? Uh, yeah, we're definitely over the time limit. Salakia for that. Shalom Israel, the water for tuning in. Maybe we can probably get a little bit more detail on you know what I mean, the nation of Israel and how the kingdom split and everything like that. So we can get into class about that and everything like that. But you know what I mean? Salakia for going over the time. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Shalom. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shabrak thumb to the brothers. Yahweh Shemar thumb Bashem Yahweh Shai to the sisters. The water.